Big tight end news, plus sleepers, breakouts, and busts in the NFC North right now on FFT Express. What's up? Welcome. The Dolphins have expressed interest in trading for Darren Waller, and they did it. Could have done better than that, Dave. They did it.
You should have just said the Dolphins traded for Darren Waller.
I could have, but I wanted to throw the word express in there. And it was not so successful. But anyway, the Dolphins acquired Darren Waller from the Giants. Don't know the trade compensation yet, but Darren Waller comes out of retirement to join the Miami Dolphins. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, you could have expressed that a little bit better. I think it's funny that this is happening. There is a connection. The offensive coordinator for the Dolphins is a guy named Frank Smith. We don't talk about him because he doesn't call the plays for Miami, but he's obviously a big part of what they do and how they game plan. He was in Oakland when Darren Waller broke out with the Raiders all the way back in, I believe it was 2019. And now fast forward, and here they are reuniting with the Dolphins. It's interesting. It's kind of fun, but Waller obviously didn't play last year. He didn't average even 10 PPR points per game in the 2 years prior to his retirement. I don't know what he's got left. I would assume that he will be in a part-time role, a pass catching role, but a part-time role for the Miami Dolphins. Maybe he gets 50 to 55 catches. Maybe he scores 5 or 6 touchdowns. Maybe that's good enough to be like the number 12 tight end. If you want to draft him with one of your last picks, I get it. I'd like to think I can find a better tight end in those late rounds to go and get. Jonnu Smith would be one of them. I would rather have Jonnu Smith than Darren Waller. And that's a sentence I did not think I would be saying when I woke up this morning.
So I'm just looking up a couple things here. So Jonnu Smith last year was a huge detriment to Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. He had 88 catches, 884 yards, 8 touchdowns, a lot of 8s, on 111 targets. Darren Waller's last season with the Giants, he was on pace for 74 catches, 782 yards, so about 100 fewer yards, 14 fewer catches.
Yeah, about the same average, though. A little more.
Yeah, 105 targets compared to 111 for Jonnu Smith. Difference is Jonnu caught 8 touchdowns. Waller was on pace for 1. But it's a pretty similar role. If he got 105 targets, that would be a problem. We want almost nothing from Dolphins tight ends for Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle to reach their potential. Is he enough to thwart the upside of and the production overall of the wide receivers?
I mean, it's something. It's going to take some work away. This is provided that Waller is into it, motivated, stays healthy. These are all factors that could come into play. If he ends up missing a bunch of time, who knows what kind of shape his body's in, then that would theoretically help the targets get flowed back to Tyreek and Waddle. It's why I didn't move Waddle up after the Dolphins traded Jonnu. A, I figured that there would be somebody who would be taking work away, and B, really ever since Devon Achane's become a thing with Miami, Waddle has become fairly insignificant, especially for fantasy managers. Tyreek, we talk about him all the time. We talked about him a ton to end the main show. He still has huge bounce back potential. It helps that it's Waller and not Jonnu. It's still somebody who's going to be there to take some targets away from the Dolphins receivers.
Okay. Darren Waller, by the way, he might be 33 or he will be 33 in September.
Yeah, he turns 33 right after week 1.
He's only run about 2,200 routes in his career. Travis Kelce in his up to his age 32 season or before his age 33 season, he had run, including the playoffs, 4,300 routes, something like that. So 33-year-old tight end, it doesn't really have a lot of tread on the tires. He's missed a lot of time in his career. Okay, for whatever reason. All right, Dave, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to get to the other topic here, sleepers, breakouts, and busts in the NFC North. We'll be right back on FFT Express. We're back. Give me some NFC North sleepers.
Well, I'm actually going to talk about the defenses first. I like what we did yesterday with the NFC South. I want to do it again, and it's all part of my research for the fantasy strength of schedule. This is a division full of interesting and good defenses. I think the Lions defense might be the best in the league. If they add another pass rusher, they'll be there. But they've got a great secondary. They're very aggressive. They were good last year without Aiden Hutchinson. Now they'll be even better with him back. I think the Packers pass rush, it's deep and it's good. Their secondary, some question marks, so we'll see. Vikings defense is very good. They've got a great pass rush. The Bears have a great secondary, not necessarily a great pass rush, especially once you go beyond Montez Sweat. So a couple of teams that could use another pass rusher and a couple of teams that could probably use another defensive back, but ultimately 4 really good defenses. And they also play against really good defenses. They've got 1 game each against the AFC North teams and the NFC East teams. So a lot of tough schedules in the NFC North. Now, the sleepers that you want to talk about, all 4 quarterbacks qualify as sleepers. Goff is my favorite of the 4, but it's Goff, it's Caleb Williams, it's JJ McCarthy, it's Jordan Love. You can make the case for any of them to be sleepers. Goff is a funny sleeper just because he had such a great year last year, but his ADP, it's past 100th overall. People are nervous about Ben Johnson leaving and what that means. Well, look, I know they still have some great wide receivers. That offensive line, yeah, they lost Frank Ragnow. They'll replace him to a decent degree. I think Jared Goff will be just fine. And so if I go through my draft and it's round 10 and I still need a quarterback and Jared Goff is there, I'm targeting him. And if it's around 11 or 12 and I want to take a blue chip quarterback and JJ McCarthy is still there, or if Jordan Love's there, yeah, I'll take them too. I don't mind carrying them as number 2 QBs in a 1 QB league. And obviously they're great QB2s in a super flex or a dynasty league. Other sleepers, you can tell me who you want to talk about from this list, Adam. Jordan Mason with the Vikings, Roshan Johnson with the Bears, and then 2 Packers receivers, Matthew Golden and Jayden Reed.
Yeah, well, why don't we talk about the Packers receivers?
Golden's looked good so far. It's OTAs and minicamp. It's not training camp. It's not preseason. It's not anything like that, but kind of get that feeling that I had last year when Jordan Love connecting with Christian Watson. That might have been 2 years ago, actually. Yeah. When Jordan Love was starting to become the quarterback for the Packers, there were all kinds of great reports about his downfield passing. We've seen him do well with downfield passing. They're looking for a downfield winner. Golden can do that. He can also work in the short to intermediate range. There is a fast track for him to be the number 1 receiver for the Packers, and that would be helpful for fantasy managers, and his ADP has not yet peaked. So that's if you're doing best ball drafts, you're getting Matthew Golden now at a pretty good price compared to where he'll probably end up going in August. And Jayden Reed is still just such a versatile threat in that Green Bay offense. Could be 3rd on the team in targets, 2nd among wide receivers, but still somebody that fantasy managers could stash on the bench in case Golden maybe he misses some time. Maybe he's a rookie. It takes him a little bit while to acclimate. Reed could end up being a pretty decent fantasy sleeper. I like the talent, and I know he's going to play a lot for them.
All right, breakouts in the NFC North.
I've got 2. One is Tucker Kraft. He's the reason why I said that Jayden Reed could be 3rd on the team in targets is because I think Tucker Kraft for Green Bay could be 2nd. Super efficient tight end, just needs more targets, needs more opportunities, can win in the short and intermediate range, can win in the red zone, can win in the end zone, and he can also break plays for extra yards after the catch. He could be an absolute stud at tight end this year. I love drafting him. I'm getting him in round 9 or later, and anytime he's available, I don't care if I take a tight end early or not. I am looking for Tucker Kraft in my drafts. Is it weird to call Jameson Williams a breakout, Adam?
No, I don't think so, especially in PPR. I don't think he was the top 24 receiver last year per game in PPR.
And you could draft him at about that type of cost in fantasy drafts this year. Still, they're raving about him in Detroit. He's going to take another step forward in his game, probably add a little refinement to his route running, be used a little bit more. He's going to have more versatility in his game, not just a downfield guy. I think he proved that last year. And I wonder if there could be a little bit of a target jump for him. We did see him and Sam Laporta kind of trade off games where they were both good, but there were a few where both were good at the same time. I wonder if we'll see more of that. And I wonder if he'll continue to see his efficiency just rocket up. He's such a fantastic athlete. He just needs a little bit more opportunity, kind of like Tucker Kraft.
All right. And busts in the NFC North.
I've got 3 question marks at running back and 1 tight end that I'm definitely going to peg as a bust. The tight end who I'm pegging as a bust is TJ Hockenson. I would rather have Tucker Kraft. I might rather have Tyler Warren as well. The ADP is just a little too rich in round 7. He came back last year from the ACL injury, really wasn't that great. Since he got hurt, Jordan Addison has become a big part of that Vikings offense. Obviously, Justin Jefferson's there. And I wonder if Minnesota tries and lay off passing at the same type of rate that they did last year and the year before. That could drive down the target volume for TJ Hockenson. He's not a tight end that I'm very excited about, especially when you look at his matchups over the course of this season. That's something that's obviously very important to tight ends that aren't slam dunk must starts. And I think Hockenson is exactly that. The running back bust, I think it's easy to make the case for Aaron Jones. I think it's okay. I think there's an okay case for DeAndre Swift just based on his history. And also David Montgomery, you can make an interesting bust case for in the event that the Lions aren't playing with the lead every single week, or if they decide to add more to their offense at the goal line. Are they just going to keep handing it off to David Montgomery? Are they going to use Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit more down there? Could they throw a little bit more down there? I wonder if David Montgomery becomes more of a like touchdown or bust type of running back for fantasy managers this year.
Yeah, he is somewhat of a touchdown or bust running back, but he scores so many touchdowns.
Right. And what happens if he doesn't?
Well, why wouldn't he though? I think you could definitely make the bust case for Montgomery. I also think you can make the bust case for Gibbs because if things just go back to the way they were, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is probably a bust as a top 5 pick.
Right.
I mean,
but if they do that, if they go back to, well, what do you mean by the way things were?
The split between the two of them.
Sure. If it goes back to that type of a split, then we're probably overdrafting Jahmyr Gibbs. But I would hope that the Lions see Gibbs as a total game wrecker, and they've got to find ways to get the ball in his hands more than Montgomery's. Montgomery's great, but he's not Jahmyr Gibbs when it comes to speed and, things like agility and all that other stuff, pass catching. Both can catch the ball, but Gibbs obviously much more explosive.
Yeah, I'd love to see Gibbs get the ball more. He'd be the best player in fantasy if David Montgomery were in part of the picture, in my opinion. But I just think Dan Campbell loves David Montgomery, loves what he brings to the table. That's Dave Richard. What are you going to be bringing to the table tonight? What's for dinner or for lunch?
I have absolutely no clue.
Okay, I have drumsticks.
You know what I'm bringing to the table, Adam?
What?
The Fantasy Strength of Schedule series that I do every single year. I project every defense, how they're going to be, which defenses are going to be better, which defenses are going to be worse, who are the players that are going to benefit from it, which players are going to stink from it. You'll find all that on CBSSports.com in the next week.
Thank you, Dave Richard. I am Adam Aizer. This is FFT Express, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.